Now, when it comes to Betrayal, there are plenty of films, books, and TV shows that will definitely take advantage of the story potential that a good betrayal can provide. And as the writing in video games will only get better as years roll by, they're becoming increasingly more evident in the medium. Now, some are telegraphed from a mile off, but others truly take players by surprise even when there's foreshadowing around every corner. Turning the story on its head, a character's unapologetic betrayal of the good guy can be so very, very satisfying. So let's take a look at them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 video game betrayals that came out of nowhere. Number 10. Mark Jefferson. Life is strange. Max's experiences at Blackwell Academy in Arcadia Bay stayed in the minds of players for a damn old long time after the credits began to roll, but that's not to say that there weren't some head-scratching moments. One such example is the game's main antagonist, Mark Jefferson, the photography teacher at the school and often serves as a confidant for Max, but actually spent much of his time off-screen manipulating, drugging, and in some cases murdering the students to further his own artistic ventures. His dubious alliance with Nathan Prescott and indirect association with Rachel Amber's death are just the tip of the iceberg. He's only revealed as the bad guy in the latter stages of Chapter 4. There's no foreshadowing, so when one of Max's biggest influences becomes Max's biggest nightmare, the betrayal feels almost too sudden. In true Life is Strange fashion, though, later games would adopt a similar, puzzling narrative wrinkle, and still, it makes no real sense. Number 9. Anna, Rise of the Tomb Raider. So Crystal Dynamics' Survivor trilogy put Tomb Raider back on the map. Telling the origin story of the iconic heroine that we know and love today, each of these 3 games capture Lara Croft at an essential point in her life. The first game taught her how to survive, and the third game showed us that she can be ruthless and efficient if needed. Now, it's the second game, Rise of the Tomb Raider, that is perhaps the best of all, telling a desperate story where Lara Croft has to overcome the harsh wilderness in order to stop an evil military order known as Trinity. Now, one of its field commanders, Constantine, serves as the main antagonist in the 2015 release and immediately feels like a threat. He's tall, stoic, and very physically capable. But when the twist is revealed, he's all of a sudden not the least likable antagonist. Anna, Lara's father's partner, is actually Constantine's sister, and her introduction and eventual relationship with Lord Croft was far from a chance meeting. You can't help but feel for Lara, as the once strong friendship that she had with her was apparently just a lie. Her shocking past made Lara Croft truly feel alone in her quest to defeat Trinity, and aside from Jonah, she hasn't really got anyone to call a friend, and she even starts to question her dedication to the cause, showing just how powerful that betrayal was. Number 8. Scott Shelby, Heavy Rain. Now, Heavy Rain is a game that has so many different outcomes, and while some changes are minimal, others definitely alter the course of the game entirely. However, one thing that is consistent through all the branching paths is the antagonist. Scott Shelby is a private detective working on a case surrounding the elusive origami killer. Leaving a trail of bodies in his wake, all holding an origami figure, the culprit is clearly smart, ruthless, and definitely sinister. And when Shelby, one of the 4 playable characters and perhaps the most beloved, is unmasked as the very killer he's seen trying to capture, it's a betrayal not only of those he claims to be helping, but also the player. Though perhaps not for the right reasons, Shelby's unveiling as the origami killer was certainly a surprise, but largely because it felt just so out of the blue. His skills as a private detective do make him a suspect, but the backstory given to him that serves as his justification feels desperately thrown together to ensure the betrayal makes some sort of sense. And all this time, the killer was right under our noses. Number 7. Sam, Mafia. Mafia is a story about family, influence, and the enticing pursuit of power. Tommy's journey from unassuming cab driver to feared lieutenant of a crime family is the story of a man who fell in with the wrong crowd and found an addictive descent into villainy. After Tommy enters the fold, he quickly becomes familiar with Sam and Paulie, 2 goons that have an unwavering allegiance to the family. With them, he takes part in plenty of less than legal activities. However, at the game's conclusion, Tommy and Paulie carry out a bank heist without the Don's approval, and Sam's loyalty to the family comes into play. After killing Paulie, Sam confronts Tommy and the fractured relationship is completely shattered. The latter comes out on top, but not before a fight, and the ending truly feels like a satisfying payoff. Mafia subverts expectations beautifully and makes the player think that Sam is harmless and that Paulie would be the one to turn out to be a villain, when in reality, the opposite is true. Number 6. SHEPHARD, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Lieutenant General SHEPHARD SHEPHARD is a major player in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2's campaign, serving as the commanding officer in Operation Kingfish. The task was to find and apprehend Vladimir Makarov, and it's clear that SHEPHARD was willing to do whatever it took not only to rid the world of an ultra-nationalist terrorist, but also to be seen as a hero who finally put that threat to an end. SHEPHARD is a man who has his own motivations alongside his allegiance to the US military, and in a shocking twist that saw him murder Roach and leave the player for dead, confirmed that he was truly willing to do anything to be seen as the hero. SHEPHARD's turn to the dark side was something that most didn't see coming, as the Brotherhood that was formed in Task Force 141 felt so very tight. The betrayal was one that hurt fans, which speaks volumes about the quality of its storytelling. SHEPHARD is a character worth loathing, and the betrayal was so incredibly well handled. Number 5. ADACHI, Persona 4 Golden. Persona 4 Golden is a game that has more layers than so many other JRPGs on the market, a perfect fusion of meticulous dungeon crawler and satisfying social simulator. Now, you will meet a lot of amazing personalities throughout this game, so much so that it's actually very easy to forget about one in particular who ends up becoming very important to the late game content. Adachi Dojima's simple-minded associate seems like a character that's merely there for decoration, but as the plot thickens, it comes to pass that he's the one behind all of the murders around Inaba. He feels too stupid to be an evil genius, so Adachi's reveal as the game's big baddie was definitely a shock. The foreshadowing is minimal, if it indeed exists at all, and Persona 4 has so many endings that it's actually a lottery as to if the player will even discover this rather surprising revelation. Number 4. EDELGARD, Fire Emblem Three Houses. With 3 distinct houses, the Golden Deer, Blue Lions, and Black Eagles, there are multiple narrative routes that the player can embark on. Each playthrough can take north of 50 hours to finish, so when the game offers 3 different paths, well, it's all the more impressive. But one thing is constant throughout all of the choices, though, and that is that EDELGARD, the leader of the Black Eagles, is a quiet and reserved character with a shockingly ruthless personality. Players are introduced to the Flame Emperor early on, and their villainy can be seen just from the way that they look. But when the Flame Emperor is unmasked and it turns out to be EDELGARD, it's a shocking revelation. This betrayal comes out of nowhere, not only because of the way the narrative unfolds, but also because of the impact it has on one of the specific paths. It's proof that each of the choices of the houses don't just offer subtle differences, which makes it all the more exciting. Number 3. Atlas, BIOSHOCK. What was once a glorious mid-century utopia is now a hellish nightmare, and when Jack arrives in 1960, he only has one comforting voice for company. Atlas seems at first like a humble man trying to escape the city with his family, and as Jack delves further into the recesses of Rapture, his relationship with the voice continues to grow. It seems like a mutually beneficial agreement, with an outcome of both Jack and Atlas being led to safety. But around the game's halfway point, there's a reveal that sets in motion the rest of the experience beautifully. After killing Andrew Ryan, Atlas's soothing Irish words are replaced by a thick and harsh Bronx accent when he shows himself to be Frank Fontaine. Jack has been nothing more than a puppet in his plan when he utters the words, "Would you kindly?" and all of his stories turn out to be just smoke and mirrors. Fontaine's reveal was simply magnificent and completely out of nowhere. Number 2. Lucy, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Lucy Stillman, a genetic memory researcher for Abstergo Industries, is the first friend that Desmond makes in the original Assassin's Creed. She's a somewhat unassuming character and feels like a confidant for Desmond when he's figuring out his role in the story. However, her mistrust of William Miles caused Lucy to defect to the Templars in a move that was, puzzling to say the very least. Lucy being unmasked as a double agent for the Templars was a gut punch. The relationship between her and Desmond made for some of the best scenes outside of the Animus, which are the portions of the franchise that are widely considered to be the least interesting. The betrayal felt haphazard and only really there to subvert expectations. Her death was no different, as Desmond stabs her with the hidden blade while under the control of Juno. The whole conclusion of Lucy's arc was, inconsistent, but there's no denying that her defection was a surprise. And number 1, Silence, Horizon Zero Dawn. Aloy's journey through the dystopian United States is one of the PlayStation 4's best games. The gameplay is superb and the storytelling feels unique, but the characters that litter the story are definitely also worthy of praise. In particular, Lance Reddick's performance as Silence, a wandering traveler who is perhaps the best of all. Now, Silence makes it known to Aloy that his goal is always the pursuit of knowledge and learning about the old ones. It's easy for the player to believe that the pair had built a rapport, but it's clear from the post-credits scene that Silence's plans always took precedent above his friendship with Aloy. As one of Aloy's only positive relationships throughout Horizon Zero Dawn, his lack of empathy towards her is noticeable when the second game arrives. Silence's betrayal feels out of the blue not because of bad writing, but because he relied on the protagonist for so much of the main campaign. Using Hades to find out who originally sent out the signals to activate it is equal parts brave and naive. A character that is a big question mark throughout Horizon Zero Dawn, Silence's retreat to villainy was still definitely a shock. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 video game betrayals that came out of nowhere. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. But before I go, I am not going to betray you, my friend. I'm going to pump you full of positive energy and send you out there to tackle your life goals today, because you, my friend, listening to this video are a massive ledge. You deserve all the best things in life, and I want you to go out there and smash it today. I believe in ya. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.